What do we have today? Last week. We talked about community around notification nominations. I think we talked about it the week before also. Today, 8/20/2024, 2024 topics, status, topics, no meeting Thursday. I mentioned that during last meeting, no meeting, no triage on Thursday. Okay. Thursday. We have the Victoria topic. Victoria, what's up?
Yes, only for 3 more weeks because we will have the harvest in 3 weeks now. And I wanted to remind everyone that you can still buy a ticket for the event. For example, we had a new participant joining for the event like a few hours ago. So you have still a chance to join us and enjoy the 2 days long conference in Las Vegas. The free tickets is for $300, but a lot of activity, and there will be some pastry and coffee as well for the participants and the goodies. Yes, so.
Okay.
Victoria, just be sure to reply to the host, please, with the account and setup, please.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. What the status? There's also the one nothing, but I see a few dependent PRs. Okay. Should go what do we have in the latest? I did from the 13th. This one. Antoine updated to .NET 808. All the packages that we reference now are the one from 808. You can see a tag before formatting, because here there is a tag formatting, convert to file scope namespaces. So Mike go to the PR to first change all the namespaces to be.
Don't forget to record, Sebastian.
What?
Don't forget to record.
I'm recording.
It's recording, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
All right. Okay, cool.
How do you think I missed that? Look, recording. To be honest, I thought about it like 10 times, because last week when Gabor asked me for the file, I searched for the recording and I couldn't find the recording. I'm like, crap, I forgot to record, but I'm sure I saw the transcript running. And then I looked at the meeting and it failed to upload on my disk. That's what happened. And then I did it again and it worked. So thank you, Steve, for reminding me of doing that, because one day I will forget for sure. So convert to file scope namespaces, changing all the namespaces instead of being a block. Now they are like one-liner. And this is done automatically, well, by the tool, because there are some changes in the editor config. Like this, C# style, namespace declaration, file scope warning. So this is a styling rule that will be applied by the .NET format. And things like this, .NET diagnostics, these are warnings that would appear instead in the editor. So these are two different things, I believe. The things that will be applied by the formatting tool and the things that will be displayed in the editor. So that, and so changes there, changing GitHub attributes, nothing interesting. This is to link to the latest code style that is used by the .NET format 9, and the rest is just all the changes. Okay, so all the PRs that would change those files, which means all the PRs will probably have merge conflict that can be resolved. So each PR now has some instructions to apply to the PR to get it clean based on this main branch. And that's why we have these two tags, because we want to merge before the change, just to be sure there was no conflict between for the PR before, then apply the same formatting, and then merge with the formatting. There are a few instructions to follow. I don't know why I still getting into those things automatically. Git-blame-ignore-revs files, such that in the history of the commits, you don't see this commit, the 057, which is this one, appearing in the history of the changes. This will be no up from the history point of view. Fix wrong autocomplete password on the current password field. That's interesting because we saw the PR and we were like, it's all fine, no? So there was an issue with that current password. Oh, because, yeah. Current password should not be autocompleting.
The current password can be auto-completed, but the confirmation not.
But oh yeah, that's because it. Yeah, I was thinking that in my head, and I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, the fix is correct. Okay, good, thank you. Add HTTP context extensions for GetActionContextAsync, so a helper method to centralize some code. GetActionContextAsync. Map. Fire the login failed event only once when a no user login failed. Okay, here it could have been fired twice, I see. And now it's only done once. Good. Additional logs for ElasticSearch failures. That works. That's weird. Because if you want to log the exception, why not log an error instead? Which will handle an exception directly instead of having it as a field like this. That's weird. I would have logged an exception. I don't know. Maybe it was discussed. Return services from workflow registration extension methods. Just so apparently we can combine the calls to add activity. Okay. Fixed localization rules. So apparently documentation was stating that you can use this pattern to create PO files. And it was not, so Tony is fixing it. Localization / CultureName, for instance, French / a module PO file. So one file per module in the local folder. So here, this is for the test. This is a test PO file, and this is the test that was added here. And the change is just to return another location that can contain the file for each extension. Message template in the theme and unify auto subjection. So we talked about it on Thursday. It's just removing what's not necessary. It's just necessary to include the script for FountainSum here. Same thing here. And fixing something.
It mainly adds the message template to the default theme because they use Bootstrap.
Cool. Okay. Create global.json because I personally had .NET 9 installed on my machine. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have .NET 9 installed on their machine. And because of that, it was using .NET 9 to build Portrait, not even though, it was using .NET 9 to build Portrait. And I had issues because we never tried it with .NET 9, or at least there were lots of warnings and errors. So I created this file. This way it will ensure that even if you have .NET 9 installed or .NET 10, then it will use the .NET 8 version of the SDK to build it. For those who just have .NET 9 and not .NET 8, then it will fail saying, no, you need .NET 8 to build it because it doesn't build .NET 9 yet. So that's that. And it's also pointing to the first version of the SDK just because it's required. And if you have a more recent version, then it will use it. Like if you have 8.0.400, it will use your local 8.0.400. It's just that we need an 8.0 version of some sort. So that's what it does. Define formatting rules. Oh yeah, so these are kind of the same as what might be here, but for other reasons. The reason is that because I was trying to get it to work on the .NET 9, which was failing on some things or other things, I updated the editor config to add more default warnings in the editors and also style rules that maybe were not defined before, were implicit when we coded, but now they are explicit, such that the formatting tools can fix that. So you see, for instance, the ifs, now they have braces, because we have always required that, and some of them were missing, and they were appearing as warnings in the build also after that. So it was fixed by the .NET format tool. Unused using statements. What else do we have in this PR? Unused arguments are flagged in .NET 9 by default, and I believe now I'll just set the correct warning level in the editor, so this one was removed. It's using unused arguments, so this has been changed later on, but for this PR, because this argument was not used, I used the underscore, which is a keyword in, not a keyword, but it's a language syntax in C# to say this is an argument that we are not using, just ignore it. It's there, but it's not used. So it's on purpose that it's not used. If you just say that, the compiler will tell you, well, you define that, but you never use it. It must be an issue. So it's a warning. And then in Orchard, we treat warnings as errors. So it has to be done this way. Unused code, properties, and declared accessibility. Thing. Well, that's the idea of this PR, and this was done to prepare for the .9. So this way it's in the .8. So when we move to the .9, we won't have to also include this to be resolved. I added also some explanation about how the editor config file works, and then you can look at it. One thing in particular that was an issue for us at some point was the single how it go? Yeah, the block body, expression body rules. So what I formalize in this file is that for the constructors, we don't want to use a block body. We have examples of block bodies here. Changes from block bodies. I have just defined one here. So you see the block bodies. So I will just show as split div. Can I show it as a split div? Here. So before we had a body with braces here and just one line here. And the block body is just to say, let's use the arrow sign and return the code here without a block body. So when you have just a small piece of code, you might not need that in this case and just put everything in a single line. This one is particular because there is a comment before the line, so it's not really a single line, but semantically it's a single line in terms of code. So it's applying that still. This is a block body. So in the rules, I formalized the fact that we're back to a single window, the fact that for constructor, we don't want that. We want to see a constructor as a constructor, and this is the case usually for most methods. We don't want to use a block, but the block. Yeah, we want to use the normal one, which I will call block. That's weird, but we just want to use a normal body for constructor. Oh, expression body. Okay, use block body for constructor. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, I just can't read. We use block body for constructor. We don't want expression bodies. And we don't want to be told that you can have an expression body for methods, for conversion operators, or you can only if you fit on a single line. So for methods and conversion operators, it will suggest or say that you can have an expression body if it fits on a single line. For property, it says you may use that if it's a single line. It won't force you either way. It will just say, if you want, because it fits on a single line, you can convert it, but it won't do it automatically or force you to have it automatically. Same thing for indexers. If it fits on a single line, I believe it won't even show it, but you can and it will work. So for properties, it won't suggest it, but for indexer, it will just let you do that. For accessors, same thing. Collection initialization, this is different. And for body, for local functions, it will also say you can do it if you want, but it won't force you. Auto property, I think this is not related to block bodies after that. That's other things, but just wanted to define these rules because these were things that we talked about during PRs. Should we or not have block bodies, expression bodies, and so on? another example here, it will enforce dot final dot in the public API documentation. So that's it.
One question and a remark there. You also disabled that it's at the very end of the diff for the editor config. You also disable something called .NET style preferred conditional expression over assignment. Yeah, on line 81. Why is that? Why do we want?
Let's see. So I'm not saying everything will be correct or right, or maybe some mistakes when I did the changes. We'll see when we see that, when we play with that. So .NET style preferred conditional expression over assignment. So silent. So just to go back here, explaining the different levels, because it's not obvious the difference between silent, error, warning, suggestion, and none. So severity levels, suggestion, error, and warnings will show up in the editor. It will be displayed when we build, okay, in the editor. Silent only shows up as a light bulb. So when we see some code, or it shows, maybe you want to do that, but you don't have to, and it's not suggesting, it's there. And none will show nowhere. So the rule you say here is silent, meaning it's a suggestion. It's not enforced in any way. It's just, if we see that thing, we can show you in the editor that you can do that. Prefer conditional expression over assignment. Example, yeah. So that's why I put the example, because for everyone to understand what it means, because it's not obvious. If you have, if something that disable equal false, you could write it as if not disabled, or same thing with true. Sometimes we have disabled equals true. We could write it as if disabled, and it's a style. I just wanted to make it like, yes, you can switch from disabled equals false to not disabled, or disabled equals true to disabled. I didn't want to enforce the rule, because when I saw the example in the warnings, I'm like, yeah, maybe it might look better, because it was like if A equals B or disabled equals false. It didn't seem bad to read. So I'm like, if people want to write that, let's just let them write that, and it will just show that you can replace it with a single word. But I'm not sure if we want to enforce that, to show it as a warning.
I guess so. So I think we need to, not right now, and not related to this PR, but we need to make a decision for pretty much each of these, whether we consider it wrong or right. And if we consider something that these analyzers can catch wrong, then we should indeed emit it as a warning, so it actually fails the CI build. Because then we have to do less review when we are reviewing the pull request, and everybody has to do fewer decisions, because, well, should I write it like this or that? No, you should write it like that, and that's it.
Well,
This makes development a lot easier.
I mean, it could be contextual, and my opinion is that if the rules say silent, then we should just silence anyone who says no, it should be not true or false, because we define the rule as no, keep silent, we don't care about this style. Are we allowed to not care about a style? Do we have to care about, well, we decided we have to write in blue and not in green. If it doesn't matter to anyone, or if it makes more sense in some content. That's why I didn't want to be too opinionated here. Maybe it's wrong, and maybe we'll decide to make it a warning, and fine. But so far, from what I've seen, I prefer to just say, okay, let's put it silent for now. So this one, okay, if you want to file an issue and say, should we have it enforced? I mean, I'm personally fine with having it as a warning, because I think, yes, disabled or not disabled speaks by itself. But where I saw that, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't bother me to see it. So I don't know where it was with fine examples. It was easy to
Yeah, the more things like this we decide on, that we want it either this or that way, the easier it gets to keep the code base consistent.
But does it mean that we should not have any silent anymore?
No, that's fine. We can consciously decide that, okay, we don't want this. Indeed.
So that's why, yeah, okay. That's what I meant here, like, yeah, because you see, statement can be simplified. There are places where an if would be simplified. And we have to find some examples, but I'm like, there could be someone who says, no, I prefer it this way, but yeah, but some people might prefer it the other way. So equals true. Let's see, there are a few examples. Just want to, this one. This is JavaScript. Oh, that's a bad example then. Oh, we have here. Oh, very good example. So we don't want to do that actually, because you see that, oh, maybe that will work with, so this is a SQL. I believe that would work for sure. We'd have to check, but see this one here.
It's not needed.
Not needed? Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing for published. But it doesn't read bad to me. It's just a personal preference. If people say that, yeah, we need to enforce that it's not using that, then we'll have to do it. But yeah, it's kind of sad.
The only time this is useful if latest could be nullable. So if it's nullable and you explicitly want it to be true, so you're not checking the null value, that's when it's useful. But other than that, yeah, you don't need to.
Maybe the rule will detect it and let's say it's a warning if it's nullable. So okay, but I believe every rule here we could decide as a team what we want to apply. I decided based on our history and my own opinion if I didn't find any history or very obvious reason. But yeah, feel free to look at the rules and say you don't agree with that and we can discuss it. So we can have the pull request review once for each rule and just tell people, because even, yeah, just tell people, no, we don't want to do that. But the same way like silent, it's one rule. And if people decide to still comment on it, then we'll say, no, it's silent and that's it. Or it's warning and that's it. So.
All right, another thing just to emphasize for people who are looking into adding code analysis like this, you define a lot of IDE rules here, which works well. Now, a word of warning until .NET 9 is out is that these will actually be emitted as warning during an MS build as well. So that's what we want, because then we can fail the build, we treat warnings as errors, for example, in CI. But the other rules, like that's what we just talked about, that .NET style, everything called .NET_style, those won't be emitted as build warnings. This is a Roslyn bug. I added a link pointing to that issue in the chat. It will be fixed in .NET 9. But for now, under .NET 8, what you have to do is to configure the same rules with their IDE codes as well, because they are actually available like that too.
Do you mean that right now in main we have an issue with the rules?
We don't, because we don't have such rules enforced. Like that one is also silent, since we don't really utilize the style rules, except for the file scope namespaces. That's actually configured twice due to this bug. So it's configured as the .NET_style way and the IDE way.
Okay. Good. So we should switch to the 9 quickly then. Well, then
after 2.0.
Yeah, and please review the rules if you are not sure, because you've just mentioned this one. Maybe you just them to see it, but yeah, anything I changed here, feel free to comment or to say, no, we need to change that. So that thing, formatting rules, use transitive pinning and update dependencies. So this is the one also that you missed throughout the time. Maybe you have some opinion about that. So what is transitive pinning? Let me explain the issue. When we reference, let's say, angle sharp, angle sharp has other dependencies. Maybe it depends on newtons of JSON. Okay. So we use maybe the latest of 1.1.2 of angle sharp, and maybe angle sharp itself uses an old version of newtons of JSON, for instance, one that has security issues. And if it has security issues, we reference newtons of JSON transitively, so not directly, but transitively, meaning it's pulled by other direct dependencies. We don't depend on newtons of JSON, but this one pulls a bad newtons of JSON. And when we run the build, some CI tools, even MS build in the next SDK, will tell us based on NuGet packages that we are referencing an unsafe version of newtons of JSON. To fix it, the solution is to reference directly newtons of JSON with the correct version. So we say we want this version of newtons of JSON, even though angle sharp is pulling an unsafe one. So we'll bump this thing. And to do that, we'll add a package version, and we'll also add a reference in the CS proj that pulls angle sharp to just say, take the one that we set as the package version here. Yeah. So that's how we will fix it usually. There is a feature in NuGet now that is called central package transitive pinning enabled, or transitive pinning, which works with central package management, which is what we are using here. Package version is central package management. So by saying transitive pinning enabled, it means that any time we have a package version for a specific package, it will, by default, pick the package version that we specify if anything is transitively importing. This means we don't have to reference specifically a package now. If we just define the version like this in this file, so we don't have to update the CS proj files to put a direct reference to a package we want to pull for transitive import reasons. So just we're doing that. And what it means is right now there are 3 packages that have unsafe versions from different resources, regular expressions, system ring common, and ASN1. So now we just need to set the package version we want to use in this file, and then we don't have to put it in the CS proj. So this PR is about enabling this feature and also pointing to the correct versions on the packages that we know have some vulnerabilities. I wrote in the document how to find the vulnerabilities. So .NET package vulnerable will show you the direct dependencies that have vulnerabilities, and in our case, it's none. But you can also say package vulnerable include transitive. Here there is 1 dash. It's actually 2 dashes, but if I put 2 dashes in the XML document, it doesn't work. And I think it's better to have just 1 dash than just trying to escape the dashes. So just note here. And this will show all the 3 packages here: regular expressions, common, and ASN1. It will just tell you which version, which packages are vulnerable and their versions. What it doesn't tell you is why do we import regular expression, or where is it coming from? And there is a new command here, which is .NET NuGet y. You put the SLM version and the package ID, and it will show or generate this chart here. It will tell you regular expression that you asked for is coming from this package, which is from this package, from this package, and from this package. So we can find the root dependency that will include that. So I added that in the thing, such that if one day we decide to bump ASP.NET Core MVC because they have fixed that, then we can remove that entry, or we can try to rerun it. Okay? So this way we know where it's coming from. If it's coming from two sources, I just put one because we can just retry one when it's fixed, and then we find another one and we just update that one. Okay, so that's just explaining why we have this change. Another thing to talk about here, if let's say between, so this is updated now for next version 2.0. If before we ship 2.1, there is a high severity in one of the transitive dependencies that we include, this is not technically our responsibility to ship another package of Orchard, because otherwise we'll ship every day because there is a new vulnerability. It's up to each customer to detect that and bump their own dependencies to say, I need to put this one. When we ship, we need to ship with the latest available packages or safe packages. After that, we don't have to ship because we have a transitive dependency that is vulnerable. Good questions? Sultan.
That's very interesting. Thank you. I think we should do that in Orchard Core Commerce as well. It uses Central Package Management.
Yeah, this is something I discovered recently only when I did a full push on Aspire to update all the packages, and I had to change like 50 different CS projects. And then someone said, hey, why don't you use that? And I'm like, let's try. And then I just have to update like 5 tags like this, and it was done. Super awesome. And this tool also is, so this tool, the .NET NuGet Y, it's only available in .NET 8.0.400, so the latest CSDK recently released, and .NET 9. If you don't have the latest .NET 8 or .NET 9, you don't have this tool. This is super useful, I think, just to understand where it's coming from, because sometimes you see, yeah, you don't see all the charts, and it's very hard to find. Another way to find it is very interesting also. You learn something, I'm sure, because I learned that that time. Did I close Orchard? Oh, it's currently doing some setup thing. So in Visual Studio, in the top right, there is a search box in the Solution Explorer. If you type that, it will find nothing, but there is a drop down on the right of the search box that lets you say source files or dependencies. And then if you check the dependencies, it will then show you the dependency chart that will point to that. So I can't do that because apparently Visual Studio is setting up something like in my box. We'll try it. In the search box of the Solution Explorer, there is a drop down on the right. You can select something else, and then you will see where the DLL is coming from. Throws an exception. So next commit throws an exception if the datetime cannot be converted. So we note on Thursday during triage. So the unit test is very self-explanatory. If you have some JSON like this, so this will work. This would be a null value if you have null, but if you have something with an invalid value like that, now it will throw an exception, a JSON exception, instead of returning a null value. So it will tell you that your JSON is not valid instead of assigning a null value to a datetime. Tony, remove index post action layers. This is the one that I had changed in the refactoring PR, styling PR, and actually this method is not used, so it's been removed. New feature, workflow trimming. Well, so improvement on the new feature, the recent feature, workflow trimming. Fixes, renaming. There was a question, or is it also related to the comment we made last week about the feature name?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, but it's not in a separate feature now.
You mentioned that the trimming was enabled, it seemed automatically to 0, even if you haven't enabled the feature, because it's part of the main feature, which means it will start deleting the workflows without any action.
That's still the case. So this is still automatically enabled, with a 90-day default.
Okay. For trimming, and this is a PR to go on 9, to move to the 9, and nothing special here. And kdocs update. Fix. Let me see. I hope. No. Fix SQL document queries don't work on older existing tenants. So this is unfortunate. Oh no, this is totally okay actually, because it's an error, so it will, whatever happens, it will be logged. So I didn't say anything. Transaction, some code. I will open it just to make that. The comment says oh, query liquid filter. Oh, integer and big changes. Because before there could be integers, so this would not have worked. Now this will work. Okay. User confirm workflow event for user email confirmation. User confirm workflow. Audit trail. User event. Okay. It's interesting that the event is triggered when the user successfully confirms their email address, but it's user confirmed. Should it be email config. So mail
Yeah,
config.
you see there's a type, confirm type. So by default, it's an email, but in the
Right now it's
future,
an
maybe
email.
we can
It could be something else.
implement phone number confirmation.
What is that? Squash merge. Who doesn't know how to do a squash merge?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Because these requests can't be merged from the UI, only from Git.
Why? Why we did that all the time, no?
No,
not here.
I'm not sure why even. I think the issue is that the bot, so this all contributors bot adds the pull request with the skip CI, so none of the CI workflows will run. And that means that you can't merge the pull request just from there. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. So,
but if you can say enable auto merge squash, then must be the button to that. No.
No, still, you need to merge these as an admin from Git for some reason. I think I opened the issue about that, but this project seems quite inactive nowadays.
Just before you merged it, it looks like I enabled the auto merge squash. So if you let it squash, it would automatically squash too.
Build, but no, there is a build. That's what it says. You see, it's created with skip CI, which means it will never auto do anything because there would be never a build. Maybe what you can do is trigger a build, and then it will have auto merged it. But because of this thing, it will not. And triggering.
Yeah, I think the alternative here is to temporarily disable the branch protection rule or manually merge.
So if I take this commit, then it will be the same thing.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Probably I remembered to
it worked. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a squash merge, yes. I just forgot to merge it like this today. But you can't merge from the pull request screen here.
Okay, not from the screen, but you can still do manually. That's what you say. And you need that manually thing?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Done. Questions, comments, topics?
I think there's a couple 2.0 issues. Maybe we can look at them since we don't have a call Thursday.
So your one. So yours, Mike. Oh, because the merge won't merge something that is null. It will just ignore the null values. Ah. So so in which context do we merge in this case? So if you go in the editor and you remove the value, it's null. The driver will do nothing because the merge will do nothing.
Yep, it will ignore it. If you look at the PR, you'll see how I fixed it.
GObject. Oh, okay, that's safer what I thought, because you are just saying if the value is null. Merge null values and bin. Which merge? I see. You look at the settings and you introduce the same behavior as a setting. What is that?
Because by default, we use the J options default. And in this case, I want to overwrite that because we never want to ignore. We always want to override.
So what is a default ignore condition?
It ignores nulls.
Okay.
So in this case, we're saying I never want to ignore whenever we create the object.
And I had a question about this change actually. Why did you use the bang here?
That's because in this class, we have that nullable. So if you see that settings, the JSON in the parameter, it allows null. So in that, at that time, so you don't get that warning, because we know in fact that the settings at this point cannot be null because we're setting it on line 95. So because of that, to suppress that warning, you add that explanation point, meaning that we know settings cannot be null at this point.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand. So I don't understand why it's saying anything, because it's not null at this point because of that thing here. There is a new, so settings can't be null.
Yeah, and there's a warning. That's why I added it.
There is a warning saying what? That it can be null?
It could be null, yeah, which makes no sense. But
why could it be null? It can't be null.
It can't be null, right? That's why I added that. I don't know. Maybe it's ignoring. Maybe the compiler or it doesn't recognize line 95 that hey, at this point it can't be null. But because the JSON merge settings,
maybe the enumeration here could put it. I don't know. Or what, George?
Yeah, there are a lot of conditions when the nullability is not detected correctly. I think there are some cases fixed in .NET 9, if I remember correctly.
But that's correct. My question was more about why do you have to do that? Like, so maybe it's a bug in the compiler that doesn't detect that it could not be null.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to me.
I also changed it on line 126 too. If you've seen before, we're using the explanation point, which kind of didn't make sense because it can't be null anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's fixing that now. Who knows? Okay. And this one, breaking shape name resolution regarding menu shape. That's Mike. Mike, you wrote it. I don't know why, but I'm sure that's you. I have a feeling.
Yeah, very possible. I love breaking things.
The menu, we played with the menu recently, no? Did I say?
We did, yeah, because it wasn't deleting, but I think this is a completely different issue.
Not that. The menu template and through the menu. I mean, hasn't it been case sensitive all the time. Which one mean design? Right. Setup OC2. Okay. That's the main menu content item. Okay. Create a content type with a liquid part. Content item has a liquid content. Display the menu. Okay. It will display that thing. Good. Go to admin's item plate, create a menu with any content. Display the content item. So share. Okay. So if you use menu with OC2, it doesn't find it. Okay. Display the content item. Delete the menu. Interesting. That was interesting. That's true, because I assume it assumes that shapes are case insensitive, so there is no reason to create the two of them. But in this case, these should all be occurrence, like they should all work all the time. Maybe, or maybe not carefully. I don't know, maybe the shape template should not be case sensitive. I don't see why they should, so I believe all the things here should be clean, should work with all the cases all the time. So yeah, that's a bug. It's breaking, and I think the behavior is also a bug. Like, I think it should work really well. If we had to choose one, what should it be? I'd like to know what change broke it, and I'd like to know what we should have.
Well, I would do it in a case sensitive way because it's an identifier. So just as anything we save into a string.
It's a template. What do you mean, it's identifier?
Well, it's the template name is an identifier. It's a technical identifier.
Well, if in MVC you create a view, you can use whatever case you want. It has never been an issue. So why should we be different? Because it's a CSHML for a shape. I don't know.
Really? If your names are case insensitive?
Yeah. Your views in MVC, they can be anything you want. And I'm pretty sure even Fluid doesn't care, because in the view engine for Fluid, at least, I believe there is there was a PR that said, oh, let me check. There was a PR recently. Case. When I say recently, I mean, in my mind it's recent, but if you're on test, this is view engine test, case. No. Choice case sensitive in this case. I did it. But someone fixed the test because it didn't work on Linux or something. I don't remember. Get that later. But okay, so yeah. Does it find menu because what? What is the kind of alternate? because it's a content item. Okay, it's a content type, and we find the menu.cshtml because it's a content type name. So I understand why you say it should be uppercase because it's the content type name that should match, not because, yeah, I mean, it's matching the content type. But in the alternates, when we look for the alternate from the list of shapes, then it's a dictionary and it's case sensitive. Then I don't know. I'm fine with making case insensitive and it will work. It's not even breaking, it will just work. And it can't break anyone because it was case sensitive, then it means you could have two content types with different cases, casing, which is not the case today, you can't. So
Well, really, whatever, we should just fix the breaking change here, I think.
okay. Interesting.
So we only have 2 known issues in 2.0. Hopefully those will be fixed, but I think we should release 2.0 prior the conference.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that should be like definitely a line we cannot surpass. So
I agree.
Okay. Okay. All good then. Thanks everyone. See you next week.
see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.